trudged through the landscape. The snows had begun to fall and it was biting cold. He pulled his cloak around himself to keep him warm, but his stomach grumbled. He hadn't had a decent meal in days, and he was really, really hungry. Normally he would sell baskets and pegs and such like, but, well, he'd sold them all and been unable to get Willow for new ones yet. Hopefully he'd find somewhere soon that he could perhaps spend the night and get a decent meal, but he wasn't sure where that would be. He rounded the corner, and there in front of him was a village. Nice, neat houses with little fences all round about them, and the gardens well kept. Ah, he thought, what a beautiful place. I'll be able to find some food here. He came to the first little cottage. It was beautiful, whitewashed, with little windows and a thatched roof, and smoke streaming out of the chimney. He knocked on the door. After a few minutes, a woman carefully cracked the door open just a touch and said, "Yes, what do you want?" And he said, "Oh, hello, I'm a traveller and, well, it's snowing quite heavily now and I was wondering, would you have any food or perhaps somewhere I could stay for the night?" "No," said the woman, "go away." And she slammed the door in his face. Oh, he thought, okay. I mean, yeah, fair enough. It's not easy giving shelter to a stranger, but I hoped for a little more. He went next door and knocked on the door there. A man opened the door, looked him up and down and said, "Yes, what do you want?" And he said, "Well, I've travelled a long way and I'm really hungry and cold. It's snowing out here. I wondered maybe—" "No," said the man, and slammed the door. "Right," said the traveller. "I guess the folk round here aren't as friendly as their cottages might suggest." But he went next door and tried again. He knocked on the door, and the answer was the same. He was told to go away, and at every single house in that village, he was told no. There was no food. There was nothing here for him. He should go away and try somewhere else. And the people were all very snippy and not at all friendly. He came to the last house, and with not much luck in his heart, he knocked on the door. It cracked open slightly, and an old woman with a pinched face looked at him. He opened his mouth to ask for some food, and then he had an idea. "Excuse me, madam, I wondered if you could help me. You see, I've travelled a long way, and all I have to eat for my dinner is this stone, and it's going to take a lot of cooking. I wondered maybe if you could lend me a pot and some water." "What?" said the woman. "A pot and some water." "Don't be ridiculous," said the woman. "You can't eat a stone." And he went, "Well, I know it's not much, but it's all I have, and it will take a bit of cooking, but we'll get there." Said the woman. "I'd like to see that trick." And she got a pot and filled it with some water, and the man took it outside to the village square, where he lit a small cooking fire and placed the pot on top and dropped in the stone. The old woman came and peered into the water. "You do know that's not actually going to cook, don't you?" she said. "Well, like I say, it'll take a while, but I'm sure you must have had stone soup before." "Stone soup?" said the woman. "I've never heard of stone soup before. What does it taste like?" "Well," said the man, "I mean, it does depend on the quality of your stone, and this is a very good quality stone, so I'm expecting this one to be one of the best." "Right," said the woman. "Can I try some?" "Well," said the man, "I suppose I could let you try some, especially since you've given me the pot and the water. Why don't you go get yourself a spoon?" So the woman rushed back inside, got herself a spoon, and came outside and looked at the pot of almost boiling water. She dipped the spoon in and she took a sip. "Ugh," she said, "well, it just tastes like hot water. You need some flavour in that." "Well, yes," said the man. "I mean, normally I'd add some salt and some pepper and some herbs and things, but I don't have any with me, so it'll just have to do like this." "Right," said the woman. Well, I've got some salt and some pepper, and I've probably got some herbs out the back. You just wait here. And she went off to her cottage, and a few minutes later she came back with some salt and some pepper and a handful of herbs, and they sprinkled them into the pot, and the steam began to rise. Oh, aye, she says, smells better already. Yes, said the traveller, I am sure that this is going to be one of the best times that I've made stone soup. One by one, the houses around the square began to open their doors and peer out to see what was going on. First, the house on the far left. The woman that was in that house came out, and she peered in the pot. What are you doing? She said. Oh, we're making stone soup. Stone soup? You can't make stone soup. I mean, who ever heard of eating a stone? Oh, said the traveller, this is a fine stone, a special stone, in fact. This makes the best stone soup. Well, it doesn't look very bulky, she said. I mean, there's nothing to it apart from a few herbs floating in it. Well, said the traveller, I mean, normally I'd have some barley to throw in, but I don't have any with me. Oh, said the woman, I've got some barley, I'll go and get it. And she went back to her cottage, and she got some barley and brought it back, and they poured that into the tub. The man that had been next to her came out, and he peered into the soup. Stone soup? Are you sure? He said. You can't eat stones. I mean, they're hard. I have to dig them out the fields every single day. I wouldn't have thought you could eat them. Well, no, said the traveller, not normally, but this stone's special, and stone soup is definitely the best. Aye, said the man, but it's lacking a bit of, well, something. You need some potatoes and carrots in there. Well, yes, said the traveller, some potatoes and carrots would be perfect, but unfortunately I don't have any with me today. But if you happen to know of anybody who might have some. Oh, said the man, I've probably got some round the back. Aye, I'll go and get you some. So he went back to his cottage, and a few minutes later he came back out with a tray full of potatoes and carrots, and he chopped them up and put them into the pot. One by one, the other people from round the village had started to notice, and they were coming out their doors too. Somebody offered some leeks to go into it as well, and somebody had a bone with some meat still on it, and they dropped them all into the pot. And they all stood around, warmed by the light of the fire, and chatting to their neighbours for the first time in years. People who hadn't spoken to each other or had had disagreements began to discuss the merits of stone soup. Somebody said that this was shaping up to be quite a party, and somebody else said they'd get their fiddle. So they did, and somebody else brought the baran out, and soon they were having a party. They were dancing in the village square, waiting on the stone soup to be ready, and eventually the traveller said, "Wait! I think it is done." And they all went to get a bowl and a spoon, and they ladled out the soup, and everybody had a bowl of the most delicious soup, and bread was brought from here and there, and a little nip of whiskey for everyone. And everyone agreed that it was the best night that they'd had in many, many years. They'd forgotten how important friendship and community was to them all. And the traveller had their pick of beds that night, and in the morning, when everybody got up, there was nothing left of the traveller to suggest that they'd been there, except for a single white stone, so that they could always make stone soup whenever they forgot to connect. And I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful meal on Christmas Day or any of the celebrations round about this time of year. And remember friendship and community and love and laughter. Thank you for listening.